Here on Water Wednesdays this week, we continue to update you about what's happening on the South Coast, re the sewage problems that we have been seeing in recent time. Of course, to respond to this situation, we have yet again the General Manager of the BWA, Keith Roy Halliday. Now, Mr. Halliday, in recent time, a video has gone viral on social media showing an episode of an overflow on the South Coast. Can you explain for us what happened there and what is the response of the BWA?
Recently, we did have some intermittent overflows. The particular video that has been broadcasted on Facebook would have captured, in fact, a moment of time in the area of the Lanterns Mall. It would have been occasioned by, really a particular period where a number of the measures may have been, for the moment, stalled. For instance, the 10-inch pump was pulled down for servicing. We had a little bit of a backup in some areas with some fogs that we had to deal with as well. And at the same time, we were releasing some of the water that was held back at the lift station, because it was held back for a period of time to be able to allow us to service the 10-inch pump and deal with a number of things. So it was an unfortunate conflagration of issues at that particular juncture. One of the chief measures that we're looking at immediately is the construction of emergency disposal deep injection wells. These wells are, if you want to call it, like fancy suckholes, and really require the input and approval of units such as the coastal unit, of departments rather, such as the coastal unit, EPD, Ministry of Health, and all of those technicians are currently engaged with our technicians to look at how we can position those wells, how we can size those wells, how we can protect the environment or limit any impact on the environment, and therefore looking at things like draw rates or infiltration rates, etc., etc. And as well, how we can actually treat that water before we actually dispose of it in those wells, just to make sure that we're not transferring one issue to another. Recognizing, however, that we cannot afford to have sewage on the streets, and therefore we must find a way to manage it. Beyond that, we are looking at a couple of other measures which will require distinct approval from the ministries or even cabinet, and also emergency funding support, so that we can set about getting the permanent bypass put in place. Once we've done that, we will effectively control what the current situation is. So there are really three elements, if I can summarize, that I need to respond to. One is, first of all, as always, keeping the overflows off of the streets. And what we're seeking to do as an additional measure, possibly through the injection wells, is to do just that, to be able to control and divert the effluent, because there are a number of competing sources on the ground in terms of the flow of water to the plant, and therefore once you have so much water, you'll have backup on the streets. The second one, of course, is to construct the permanent bypass, which will be basically the permanent solution to making sure that the flows of the water, whether it's going in terms of the influent, whether it's coming out in terms of the effluent, are once again separate and distinct, and therefore leading to the regularization of the sewage system as we know it. And then the third issue to that, or the third part of that, really is about regularizing beyond the immediate in terms of our treatment of the actual sewage plant, whether we need to overhaul it completely, whether we need to look at some of the sewage systems, whether we need to look at alternatives, whether we need to look at decentralizing, even whatever the issues are. But the point is, there are a number of plans on board which are being vetted, and we're encouraging a number of other level 4 operatives actually to look at them as well. So we believe that, notwithstanding the inconvenience of the last 2 weeks in terms of some of the intermittent overflows, as long as we can get the necessary assistance and funding, that we should be able to pull this cat out of the bag, so to speak.
Thank you, Mr. Halliday, and thank you for watching yet another episode of Water Wednesdays as we continue to update you about the South Coast sewage problems that we have been seeing in recent weeks. To view this or a previous episode again, please visit our website www.barbadoswaterauthority.com, or you can go to YouTube and type in Water Wednesdays.